Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another decent deck profile, and this time we're covering another buddy fight deck profile, and it's actually a Drum and Gao. So we still have this and Tasuku to actually complete the whole buddy fight journey. So this is the second last one, and Tasuku. So far I'm using one of our Singapore friends, the Trickman's deck profile, his deck list, and it's actually going well. I'm not sure if I will be covering that yet or not, because there's also like Token Rambo just released, and I'm still working on the deck builds, because it seems everything can be, most of it at least, can be done with the new set stuff, and with the Mikado Gao you probably will need to use the old stuff, so I need to work on that before I start rolling out the deck profiles. So give me a little bit of time and it will be there. But without further ado, let's go into the Gao deck profile first, with the rod line and the body. Now, the rod line itself is, of course, the Dragon World and our Gao, grade 1 to 3. With grade 1, you ride on the flag, and then you actually look at top 7, find a grade 1 or lower of the armor dragon thing item card, or the units that have that threats, and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Or you can just immediately find a Sunshine Impact and then equip it without paying the cost, which, depending on what you need, you at least have a choice. And Sunshine Impact is actually very important in this deck, so having it early game will definitely going to help you. And then when the grade 2 appears, you can look at top 7 to find a drum or item card. You will add to your hand and shuffle your deck, but our deck most likely is drum and the equipment. Other than that, it's just orders and triggers, so you should be able to find some stuff. And once we get into the grade 3, that's where the real thing starting to come out. So first, once per turn, when this unit attacks, you can rest a rear guard, and for that battle, the cost that you rested, the unit that you rested as a cost for this card, will basically kind of attacking together. It's just like a kind of like a legion action, but of course this is how you do the, I think it's the linked attack. So anything that is called is within the buddy fight where two things or more than two things attack together to combine their power, and then to just strike your opponent. That's creating it through here, so their power will be combined. Their crit will not be, so it's not a 1+1 crit. It's not like that. It's just the power combined, so that it can be a very strong attack, and then just give your opponents a big strike that they cannot simply defend themselves, right? And then after the battle ends, you can counterblast 1, and the unit that you link the attack with this card, you can stand it up, and and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, and so if your opponent is grade 3 or higher, then you can also stand a drum regard. So it is a very good thing for you to go for, right? And this is how Gao helps you win games. And then it also get his own unique skill, which is My Buddy. By soul blasting 1, you can find a drum bunker dragon from your deck or your drop to call it the regard circle, and for the turn, its original act ability cost will -1 gauge, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. So it's basically find you the drum, and that drum will turn into other drums, which helps you not only to fill in your deck or finding the better pieces to help you win games, and also including your buddy, the drum, the future. So normally you need to pay 2 gauge to get this card out. So if you put it as a buddy and your buddy call it, then you will need to pay for that cost. And do remember he doesn't have any sort of soul guard, so no point of actually building up the soul stocks for him, but you can still pick it up with your drum. Alright, and then during your turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is graveyard higher, it will give us 10k, so it's a 23k beater, which is nice. And when this unit is doing the linked attack, and if your damage is 4 or higher, or if you have person right this turn, then for the turn this unit will get the following ability, which is when this unit attacks for that battle, your opponents cannot use their auto effects of their cards, and by counterblasting 1, this card will -1 drive and be able to drive check, which is giving you another chance to strike your opponents. And because it kills the card's auto ability, it can shut down your opponent's unit PG, so it can be fatal with this strike. But you do need to be very careful, and when you call this out, it will be a very easy target for your opponents to just try to get it off, right? But we do have our drum to bring him back out, so it will be less of a problem. But because he actually causes you 2 gauges, so it's easier to put him in your buddy zone to just get out when needed, and then rather than just put it into the deck and you don't have a good way to find it out if you don't have enough of the cost or anything, right? So putting him in the buddy zone, I think, is more of a norm for now. But if you do prefer to use other drum instead, like even the grade 2, the starter, the drum, then you can also do that. And then next we have more person right in our main deck, and then of course our drum bunker dragon, which is what Gao is going to call and help you with reducing the cost, because normally you will pay a cage and then put the top card of the deck under this card as a body soul to call it out, which it happens. But what more important is, by paying a gauge, you can search from your deck or your draw from for a different named drum card, and without paying the call cost, and just put it on top. So even this usually costs you 2 gauges. You can just doing this by 1 gauge, and if you use Gao to bring this out, then you can just ignore the 1 gauge and just directly go into this or other drums that is actually going to help you out. So this is a very important card. It's like the start of your any other drums, so it's definitely a 4-off. And then we have the Sky Knight version of the drum, which if you have a Gravely Gao as your Vanguard, you can ignore the cost, which usually you will count +1 and draw a card. And because this is a draw card, it is very important. It's even been used in Dragon Isles, so you can see how important that is. And because we can do it for free in a Gao deck, then we can just simply put 4 in there. And it also got a soul guard, because when you normally call this out, you will pay 1 gauge and put the top card of the deck or a card from your drop into this card's body soul. So you guaranteed a soul guard if you call this out normally. And if it attacks a Gravely or higher Vanguard, you can soul charge 1 and put the top card of the deck into your gauge, so it helps you increase your gauge, which can be useful for other things. And then other drums that I'm using is the Omni Lord and the Knight's drum. So the Night Drum, I think he is also great that he increases defense, but other than that he's not doing too much. So instead of having a 4 off, he is the one that I put the less. And then with the Omni Lord, because he have a this card effects, which is a front row regard circle once per turn. If you damage check, have a card appeared. So basically you take a damage, or even if you pull a OT and it disappears, I think it still counts. And if you have a Graveyard higher Gao Vanguard and you don't have any other units that have the same name as this card, then your opponents will select one card from the hand and discard it. So even if they hit you, they will still need to lose something, right? In the past with Omni Lord Drum, is basically when you take damage, no matter it's your opponents or yourself, then you can just kill one of their units. But I think they turn it into a hand, which is a very interesting change to this card, but it's also making it so threatening that because discarding one card sometimes can actually win the game by the shield value plan, the guarding plan of your opponent, because they might think, okay, I have a lot of stuff that can actually help, but then now I need to discard one and I might not have enough. So and given that Gao is actually hitting you so big, that will be a big problem if they don't have enough cards to guard for the other ones and they try to PG the Vanguard, right? Because this is going to wipe the PG skill, and this is big, so they will probably put the PG on the Vanguard. And if you kind of not letting them having enough cards to pay for the cost for PG, or even just having enough cards to block the other attacks, that might give you a chance to win just there. Alright, and when this unit attacks a Graveyard higher Vanguard, you can pay 1 gauge and you can retire one of your opponent's regards and it will get %K, so just simple. And then I am running 4 of the SDs because SD, when you have a other drum card that is not this card, appears on Regard Circle, you can soul +1 from the drops and then use the following ability from the drop zone. It can go into the body soul, so make your other drum tougher, not easy to beat, or you can just simply call it on the same column of that called drum unit. So you have a good booster, which if you just happen to use your soul guard while this card it in, and then you can just put it in a drop and then call another drum and bring it back out. So just simple to use, and early game you can just simply put him out to help you do all the aggros you need. And even if he goes to the drop zone, that means he will be reused once you call out a drum. Just as simple. And then one of the greatest card in the game for Gao deck is this Drago Wisdom, because you can even just play it in your drop zone, and if you have a Gao or the 5 Horns Omni Lords for your Regard, then you can just simply play this card out. So it's easy because your Vanguard is always Gao, so you can always make this happen, and it's a Grade 1 order, so that is definitely going to be helpful. It is a card that you can simply just use it as a right cost, because you can just play it from the drop, right? And no matter you play it from hand or drop, you will need to bind this card, and then you will put the top card of your deck to your gauge and you get to draw one. So the drawing engine is very strong. We have like 8 cards just right here to help you to draw, and then you have so many things. You have the drum to help you squeeze down your deck, which makes the deck rotating is actually very fast. And by drawing the cards, you don't give your opponents information about if it's trigger or not, so what they will think is you squeeze your deck so much, your triggering rate will actually be increasing if they give you enough time to go for it. And your Vanguard attack is so big that it's always going to give them a threat to guard you earlier, which is why the grid 1 is also very important here to help you do the aggro, do your math adjustments, so it's not easy to guard. And then for the Sunshine Impact, I'm playing 3. Now, some people play 2, but I think 3 is a little bit better. And you usually need to pay a gauge to play this card to equip, but if you use your right line to grab it out, you don't need to pay for that. And then during a turn, your Vanguard will get plus 5k, and if you have a Gao Vanguard with grade 3 or higher, your front row drum will get plus 5k. So even just these ones will simply become 15, and then if they have more other powers to add up on, then they can be bigger, which makes this will be very, very strong, because this will get plus 10k for itself. This also will get plus 10k for itself. Especially the drum in the future will become a 28k beater, which can attack 2 times, so that can be very, very scary. Also, it get a auto skill once per turn. If your Vanguard is attacking a grade 3 or higher unit, doesn't have to be opponent Vanguard, but it usually be. And if you are doing the link attacks with your body monster, so the body monster will only be the one that you put in your right deck, so the sleeves will be different, so you can simply know what it is. And then by discarding another Sunshine Impact, that is why I play more than 2 or even more than 1, so that for in the battle your Vanguard attack point becomes infinity and plus 1 crit. So this means your opponents have to PG it, or they need to just take it, because there's no way that they can guard for it, right? So this is funny gimmick that you can actually apply on, because your Vanguard attack is already big most of the time, and now you're just telling them to, instead of like you should PG, and now it's like a you must PG, right? Because even with the big power, you can still put like a OT and maybe add a little bit stuff and still full block you if you don't have a OT in your deck anymore. But this say no, and this is kind of like another OT moment for you. So that is why I actually put this in, and because it isn't have a once per game aspect in here, so you actually have a chance to do it more than once. That is also one reason why I'm running more than 2, because you need 1 to equip, 1 to use, and 1 for the back. And then for PGs, I'm using the unit PGs and the Blitz Order PGs together with a 2-2 ratio. I do see the counter charge usage can be heavy sometimes, so I'm using this instead. But if you want to use other other Blitz Order PG, you can feel free to use that, because we do have our usual generic ones that just simply have you dodge a lot of things. For example, from grade 4 triple drive, or anything that triple drives, right? So make your choice, but I think to keep it simple, to keep it body fight focused, you can just do that. And then we have our Gargantua Punisher, of course, and it cannot be normally played. It can only get to play in your end phase when you call the final phase, and you need to have your opponents have 4 or more damage, and this turn that you have actually personalized, so it's not easy to do. But by having those this situation, and you card plus 1, pay 4 gauge, and declare final phase, and then you will stand your Vanguard and attack your opponent's Vanguard. So not like Jack, that you actually bring out a Jackknife Regard to stand to attack again. This one allows you to attack with your Vanguard again, and you can just simply do the attack again to do drives, which I think is a fair requirement for you to actually get to personal ride, but if you couldn't personal ride at all, this card will be a dead card for you, unfortunately. But having a Vanguard attack all of a sudden is actually can be very scary, and because your opponent have no idea if you add this card into your hand, because there's no exact search. But once they see it in your hand, or they know that it's in your hand, they will always need to leave some space that if you use this card to strike them, they at least have the chance to do the block, or if not, if they wasted every single card already, and then when you use this card, they can only take it. So it's a very interesting gimmick, but it's not easy to achieve, let's put it that way. And then for triggers, I'm using the Buddy Fight OT right here, but if you think you want to use something else, you can consider like the water OT. That would definitely going to help. I don't think the fire OT works well because all the resistance is after their attack, so your units will be rested already, so it's probably not a good choice. And then Dark OT is not going to help the deck that much, even though it saves you 1 damage and give you to call something, but you will be withstanding your key attackers anyway, so probably not going to help. Light OT is fine because your Vanguard attack is high, but because your Vanguard doesn't actually gain crit unless you go into Sunshine Impact, and if you go into Sunshine Impact skill, they have to PG it anyway, so it is possible, but I don't think it's worth, right? So for now, I think it's just the Buddy Fight OT or the Water OT will be a better choice, if you ask me. And of course, you can always put in cards like Train Cast to give you more defense if you want to. And then crits, I'm just putting a total of 8 crits in there, trying different options. But if you just, because normally you won't be using them as order, so it's up to you, right? And I don't quite see you use like a lot of soul charging things, so I don't like go into specifics on the crits, but trying different ones out is going to give you some options as well. It can sometimes help, so I would suggest you try different crits and see what you want. And then the Trinity front, because your drum will withstand and your Vanguard is hitting big, so even if your opponent trying to 2-pass you, they need to give you a lot, and then if you suddenly put like front and a crit, then that will just ruin the game, so definitely going to help. And then the Trinity shield value is just valuable, and then 4 heals, just that simple. So it's like a little spoilers with the Jackknife and this, because Jackknife is having a sort of similar things where most of the parts of the deck is related to Jackknife and the things that supports it, and then you have the ultimate attack thing where Jackknife is withstanding with regards to attack again, this is withstanding Vanguard and attack again, so they kind of look similar, but then compared to Jackknife, I mean, the weak point of this deck is definitely on hand size, even though you do draw a lot of cards, but you do need to use a lot of cards as well. And it's kind of looks like you will lose gas very soon as well, because a lot of things that actually requires you to person ride, taking a lot of damage early game, and those is something that can just cost you game sometimes, because if you don't draw into your person ride, there are things that you cannot do. If you don't take damage early a lot enough, there are some skills that you cannot fully utilize, and in a game with Vanguard, if you take damage too early by too much, it actually can ruin the game plan, unless you are very confident that you can finish opponents off on your first grid return, which in this deck is kind of possible if you go everything into the perfect order, but well, nothing can always be perfect, right? So you can always get yourself to that, but hope you give it a try. I think it's less popular than Jackknife because Jackknife is just basically got everything within the buddy fight set that you want to play, and without too much trouble to finding extra stuff to make the deck good. So give this a try, and also give Jackknife a try. If you want to see a Jackknife deck profile, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. If you have any different choices of cards, feel free to let me know in the comments down below too. And then subscribe for more deck profiles, deck fights, unboxing videos. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. I've been talking long enough, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.